Alright, so the first piece is the door top, and then the two side panels. None of these have any holes in it, these three pieces. The sides do have three that pull this top down and two that mount to the ends. These are the ends, and they're going to go together like this, and these are the mounting holes for those. There's no holes on these yet. One of them will get holes for the hinges once the hinges are on the unit. These are the sticks that hold together the door panels. They have holes on two sides of them, 1, 2, because they go in the corner, so they get screwed this way and they get screwed that way. This is the toolbox. Goes inside the cover. It's got one hole. These are the two strips that go down the inside of the door that stop the wood from bowing and opening up. They're mostly glued in, that's what does all the holding, but you can put 3 screws in it for mounting it. I'm not going to put any holes in it, so in the drawings you don't have to have the holes in these pieces. And then this is the piece that's from the feeding shelf. You use this to put the door together so that it comes out straight. And we'll do that video now. So the first step to putting the door together is put together your end. They're made in 4 pieces so the wood doesn't curl. A large piece tends to curl. Glue. Stand it up. Make them even. Got the glue. Use a square. I don't find it's necessary. They pretty much stand straight up. So the next part is a little tricky. You want to pay attention. You want to put this the right way underneath. You want to make one end flush and the other end hangs the extra. But now you want to take your piece from your feeding shelf that's not assembled yet, and you put it in here like the roof, and you feel with your finger until it's flush. So we're gonna move it over till that's flush. Move it over until it's flush. Then you double check the other side, and if there's anything hanging over, you want to split the difference. So you're hanging over a little bit here, and you're hanging over a little bit there. The more centered you get it, the better it will look. If you don't center it, it'll still work. It just doesn't look as good. So you spend your time and you make these even. Now we put glue on 2 sides. One's without the holes, and we put it in there and we smoosh it a little bit. Don't move the piece on the board, just make sure you squish the glue in a little bit. The screws don't have to be extremely tight. They're not machined, they're wood, they're pine. What you want to see is the glue oozing out, so you know everything's cemented. You can double check, make sure everything's still straight, that you didn't move it at all. Squeeze it in. Give it a little wipe with your finger. Okay, you want to set up like this so that you can glue this edge, glue this edge, and put a tiny squirt on each side in the corner where that will go. Holds it in place. If you notice, one end is flush, the other end gets the overhang. This is the bottom. The overhang is to not let the water sheen down the front. This will be the roof. The roof panel goes on top here. Same thing with the blocks, except you put them towards the outside. Once completed, you want to check it over before the glue dries. Because once the glue dries, you own it. Any mistakes that were made. Screws up top. You do the same glue job. Very tough because the glue wants to run here. Make this end flush. It overhangs down here. That's 2 pieces. And then the roof's locked together. So at this point, you would want to look at the top, make sure you're satisfied with the parallel lines the way they turned out. You can always sand them. Okay, now your 2 straps will go in here, just like that. They look even. You put 3 screws, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, without these strips, the panels would try to open up. With the temperature change, the moisture, humidity, with these, nothing moves. Side is where the toolbox goes. And you put that in with a 2.5 inch. And you make sure it's flat. That's it. Okay, this are the pieces of the condenser. This is the condenser top. This will be the condenser adjuster. It goes right here. These screws keep it adjusted here so that the top is flush for the door to close. All right, this is also the seal for the door. This is what will hold the condenser on the body. It helps you put it on, line it, and screw it. You'll see it in the other video. This is a left and a right because of this cut. This is a left and a right because of these 2 holes, pocket screw holes. And this has no left and right. They're all the same holes. Okay, I don't glue it together. You can. The reason in my thought is anything that's breathable, I leave it because this is the condenser. This is where the moisture does end up. So any crack helps, I assume. If it was to bust off, I'd be gluing it. Absolutely, but it seems to be pretty sturdy. It's a little weak until you put it on the hive, and then the hive holds its shape and there's no more weakness. So let's assemble it, because it's not that hard. You put it on a table and you align your angle and you align your seam. You want to make sure your screw gun is set, because this is only pine. You will strip this hole out. This has 1, 2, and 3 settings. I use it on the second. The first one, you gotta wait a lot longer. It goes very slow, but it is very safe. Number 3, you cannot use it on pine. Not quite perfect, but that's all you need. You need it very, very close. And the inside is big enough to go around the hive. Okay, if you notice, they're both down the same end, the holes, because you're gonna stand these up on the right side. A condenser block can go either way. You might want to put it depending on where the knot ends up. And the extension sticks that do the holding should have holes in it. If they don't, I missed. You just want to make it about 1 inch longer. You can see here, it's about 1 inch. There's going to be a space between the hive body and the condenser, so as long as you got 1 inch, it helps you put it on and gives you plenty of room. Last is the door seals. There's a left and a right, because when you have the 2 holes up here that go over, you don't want the holes on the inside that screw to the hive. You want them on the outside. It's important to have this part flush. This is where the condenser top goes. So you want it as flush, 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 all of these corners that meet. That's it. This is your condenser. Your last piece, you can put on here. It's important for this is where the door ends up, right on this. This is your sealing edge for that door. That allows you to put that there. And these screws, which will adjust in and out, you can back this down in the very heat of summer, and that'll leave a crack above the hive. It'll let the heat out. I haven't had to use it, but it also adjusts your cover so that these end up. All right, so once you get in the right spot, take that away. That's the condenser. Of the body, it has holes on both sides that screw into the bottom sides, that have holes on one side, left and a right, that'll screw into the top sides. The top sides don't have any holes except for the threaded rod holes. There's two, one on the top, one on the bottom. The short side's the bottom, the long side's the top. The ladders get installed, one in each of those sides. And in order to put this on this assembled unit, you have to space it with your B stops. And that tells you where to put the screws for this. We'll assemble it now. Okay, you're gonna set up 2 clamps with your body bottom and one of your sides. The purpose of these clamps is because you have to align these 2 edges. And you adjust it over here. And then when you find the right sweet spot, you will notice that these lines parallel. You don't want to get them like this or the opposite way like that. You want to get nice parallel closed groove. You make sure your holes are in the right position, and you make sure your ends are flush. If they're not flush, pick one end to always be flush and one end to always have the overhang. The one that's flush will end up being the bottom because that's the one you can see. The one that'll be different sizes slightly will be hidden inside the wood chip box. I make sure my middle is pretty good. You can go along the seam and twist it slightly to get it to align. Oh, this one I want to twist a little bit. Side. You need to set it up to adjust it again. That looks pretty good. So you can see a little bit of cup here, but the lines should be straight and they should pull together once we get our glue on it. All right, we had to switch the clamps. Let's assemble. Well, these are the stops. Even though we're not putting them in, you have to use them. Otherwise, you can't align. You assemble one end. To screw the side walls on. You don't have to make them too tight. You just want to pull the walls together. You're looking for parallel lines that run down the side and equal to the other side parallel. The bottom is taking all the force to spread apart, but this is holding it together, and I just screw it. Once you get the right distance and you bring it to the end of the table, that allows you to screw up without anything in your way. 9 inches. 9 inches and 9 inches. Nice parallel lines. If you notice, it's smaller because the hinge plate is not locking this together. It's just there for the hinges. You want this in flush. Okay, there's a left and a right, and a measurement. 14 1/8 on your ends. And you double check. Goes to the first stair. The same thing over here. 14 1/8 goes to the first stair. And put your screw in. The screws just hold it in place. The cement does all the holding. B-stop, number 10 and 11. They have a wedge on it. This is to keep this from bowing. I made it out of 2 pieces because it's so wide. So this gets cemented on and screwed so it doesn't bow. And it's gonna look like that. There was no pre-drilled holes here, you just put 4 screws in it. The bottom B-stop looks like this. Again, this is to stop it from bowing, but this is to hook your aluminum frame holder. So that's how it's put together. Both of these are glued on. Here's the frames. You notice the finger groove, it's 1 inch in. These are all 30-degree angles, 30-degree angles. This is 1/4 inch thick pine, it's a 1/4 inch groove. They're all cemented and nailed. And 1 hole for the hook. And that's all there is. These won't be assembled by the buyer. These will be come assembled because they have to be put together for shipment. So now we flip our top over, and this is the spacer for the hinge for the leg. So I put it and I screw it through. That will allow you to put your hinge on for your leg with your screws. Okay. Here's the example of what we're making. This is the feeder shelf. The threaded rod goes behind that. There's no holes. You can drill one if you want. And there's your shelf. And there's the dried shelf with the dried glue. There's a frame bar. You'll have 14 eye screws and 2 eye bolts for the holes. The holes come in the bar. Fully assembled, number 15. Happy beekeeping. That's it.